Welcome to That's Good Craic.
With me, Dan, Colin.
How is? What's the crack?
And Mick.
Yo, yo, yo.
Listen to our podcast every Wednesday.
All right, welcome to podcast 15 of That's Good Craic. How are you, Mick? How are you, Colin?
Well, man, how are you doing, Danny?
All right, Danny, what's the crack?
The crack is good. What have you been up to, lads? Anything
So I'm just going to jump straight in there because just a little topic there that we're discussing off, because there's no way it's a fucking Guinness stew or relapse, okay? Just jumping in there. A Guinness stew, red wine reduction on chicken, stuff like that. There's no way it's that class as drinking. I
didn't realise that was the conversation we were having, but like you mean...
Oh, no. Stanley said whether the Guinness is boiled off or not. Like, I don't know. I've had loads of shit. I've had a Guinness. I was in the Guinness warehouse working before, and the Guinness storehouse in Dublin, and they had an amazing Guinness stew. I can say that it was delicious, and I wasn't drunk after it.
That's good.
You just didn't eat enough, that's all. You know?
Not at all. No,
I remember in the early days, man, I was pure obsessed about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even like mouthwash, you know, checking to see if it had alcohol in it, and fucking if it did, not using the mouthwash for washing out my mouth, and just lots of things. Like if I seen any sort of was obsessed about it, I wouldn't be as obsessed about it now. Like.
Colin's like, I drink mouthwash every day and I've never had a problem.
I sleep like a baby.
For fuck's sake. I mean, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? If you're sitting at home reading labels, mouthwash labels, in case you get drunk before you go to bed at night time, you have to ask yourself a few questions.
I hear that was years ago, man.
And saying that now, and I'm not going to name any names, but I know a guy, I'm not going to mention anyone, I know a guy that told me before when he was in the height of active addiction and he'd no money for a drink or anything like that, he'd burn the shit out of the mouthwash just to get the alcohol or something, or he had a way to separate it and not come back to the fucking alcohol out of the mouthwash. Or no, sorry, it wasn't. It was aftershave. Am I right in saying it?
There would be some in it, but fucking hell, man.
Drunk and smelling great.
I'd be way too lazy. I just drink the aftershave. I'd be like, fuck this.
But see, now I completely understand. I completely understand why Danny was checking the thing, because I would never think like that. Exactly, now I understand why he won't have a Guinness stew in fear that he gets drunk. Although I have to say, the Guinness stews in Ireland that I've come across have never had a label saying that they're for over 18s or to drink or to eat Guinness stew responsibly.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine in Guinness stew it's fairly minuscule, the amount that would be in it. Although, like, I remember my mother would make who also doesn't drink, but she would make trifle at Christmas, and literally there'd be that much alcohol in it, you would fail a breathalyzer test if you were driving. 100%. It was that strong.
The tiramisu is the same, isn't it? Like there's tiramisu with alcohol in it, isn't there? And sometimes I've had a tiramisu and I've taken a mouthful and gone, fucking hell, the bang of fucking alcohol off that, and literally Did you ring someone to have a chat with them about it? I did, yeah, man, straight away.
After he wrecked the restaurant.
I was in the toilet crying first, and then I came out like a bull in a China shop, and I just wrecked the gap. You didn't fucking tell me. Start smashing shit.
The only one time I've ever truly tasted alcohol where I knew it was alcohol was I ordered a virgin mojito in Yamamori in Dublin, and they brought me out a normal mojito. And I had a little taste, and I had forgot how bad the taste of spirits are. Because let's be honest, spirits are only nice when you drink so much of it over a period of time that you just, you know, your mouth just, I don't know, do the taste buds die? I don't know, but the taste like whiskey or fucking Bacardi or one of these, it tastes like nail polish remover. Or, you know, something really strong that shouldn't be consumed by humans, you know. I don't think it's nice anyway. I think it's nasty. But that's the only time I've tasted actual strong alcohol.
Yeah,
Right?
no, like the actual alcohol taste, like I only realised when I gave it up that I never really liked the taste of it. You know what I mean? It was like it was only ever the effects. Now, if you had said it to me before I gave up, was that the case? I would have argued the point very vigorously. But and by the way I carried on, you would have thought so as well. But no, I actually never really liked the actual alcohol taste, and I drank them all. But yeah, what you call it?
It's disgusting, man. It's disgusting. Yeah. And I remember this as a kid when I first started dabbling with alcohol and tasting it, like where you'd be drinking a few cans somewhere and or bottles or whatever it was. You used to get a crate of Blunderbrow, 24 bottles for €8. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like some lorry drivers who drive onto the continent and bring back tons of these crates, like little tiny bottles of Lundbrow. But I always remember half of it, like, and I'd be throwing it away as far as possible. Like, it's not nice. It was never nice. And it's the same with spirits. Like, you're just drinking to get drunk. Which brings me to my next point. Of being out Saturday night, working on Saturday night, brought me to Waterford to a rave, you know, and while we were waiting to go into the actual rave, we were just sitting out on the street chatting with a mate, and we were watching everything that happens. And in that short space of time, I seen people lying on the ground, getting sick, people sitting in doorways, and one woman literally being brought off in an ambulance. Right, and you know that we watched the ambulance situation with very keen eye because, you know, it was a hen party, as they do, but it was an older woman, maybe she was in her 50s or that, but I could only imagine trying to keep up with younger girls like that I've seen in Ireland where they're, you know, on the shots, whacking shots into them as well as cocktails and all. You know, that woman had absolutely zero business being in that environment, you know. All of a sudden she's lying on the ground outside a bar in Waterford with, you know, people checking her breathing and fucking, you know, ambulances coming, man. Ambulances came and put her into the back of it. But everyone's sad and everyone says, and I remember saying to my mate that was there, I was like, I bet you no one will go on the ambulance with it.
That's what I was thinking here. I was like, the ambulance pulls off, and next to it's like, pardon! Right, straight
mate,
back at it.
That's exactly what happened. You know what I mean? Everyone's standing around worried.
There, everyone's like, "Oh my God, no, God, oh Jesus, is she okay? Listen, oh God!" Like, next minute she's gone, and it's like, forget about her.
double tap the back of the ambulance door.
Yeah, good to go.
Oh, that's terrible. You know, because you could clearly see it was someone's mother. You know, and literally, she was not. No one was leaving that hen party for that situation. You know what I mean? That was like, I knew she'd do it. She ruined it. I knew she'd ruin it. She had to make it about herself. But it was just a very, very interesting thing. And like, then on the after rave, it was like 3 a.m. I think. When I say rave, it was like a club night, but it was dance music and that. And just looking at people on the street, and I just fair enough. I used to do it when I was younger, but why do we have to drink to a point where we're absolutely intoxicated, can't walk? Seeing people, the amount of people we've seen after the club in bits. Lad fell over a taxi and started puking everywhere, and then you could see his girlfriend got over thick and walked on while he was lying on the ground vomiting. You know what I mean? And I'm just looking at it and going, "What? Why is this?"
I have a theory, right? I have a theory. Do you want to hear it?
Go for it, yeah.
Do you want to hear it? Right, and it was actually, I talked to a psychologist years ago, right, and he mentioned something when I was chatting to him, and he reckoned that Ireland as a nation, right, is traumatized. Okay, it's traumatized back from the famine times, all that type of thing, right? He says when he's been dealing with generations of people, okay, so he's dealt with grandparents and their children who became parents, and then their children, right? That's how long he's at. And he was seeing unprocessed stuff, unprocessed trauma, like say from the grandparents that was carried on to the children and then to their children, you know. And And he reckoned, because he worked it out, and he was like, wait a minute, these people are actually trying to get this sorted. What about the generations of people, right, who have never gotten any like treatment for trauma or any of that type of stuff, right? So he just went, what, of course it has just gone generation after generation after generation. There's just this trauma has been like perpetuated and brought through the generations, because if you look at the history of Irish, when we went even to other countries and stuff like that, you know what I mean, and the way we behaved differently, you know what I mean? It was like, and we reacted to the environment differently, like, you know what I mean? And culturally we were like, of course it was culturally, but like there just seems to be this like our attitude to alcohol, because that was the drug of choice, like, you know what I mean, for all those generations. It was different, you know, like, in a way, and we just had a very, very bad like attitude to it. And his thing was, and what more and more seems to be coming to the fore now, is to realise that people that have like addiction problems, like a lot of them have this trauma, like, you know what I mean, they have like some traumatic event, oftentimes can kick them into it, and kick them into the addictive kind of situation. So since that conversation with him, I've always thought about it, you know what I mean, and I've always kind of looked, and to me it makes sense. I don't have any real proof to back it up, it's just anecdotal, but it just makes sense to me, you know what I mean, when you look at our history, and the more I've learned about it, you know what I mean, it's like it's a very traumatic past that this country has. And you just wonder where the healing would have come from, and you know, and that just created a culture of excess, like, you know what I mean. Myself and Danny kind of, I'd asked for a bit of encouragement around meditation. Danny gave me an app, and we can kind of link in the app, like he sees what I can do, what I've been doing in that. So I've kept it up. I've done it every day this week, and found it very, very good for my mind. And I was only thinking that, like, it's we live so much in our heads, like, you know what I mean, and this is why I think it is connected to the excessive drinking, and it's like or the excessive whatever, that a lot of it is just we live so much in our heads that it's almost a chemical form of meditation, right? I know this sounds mad, but it's like it's just given ourselves, because we come out of our minds, like, you know what I mean, when you're that intoxicated, it is like, you know what I mean, you get that break from the thought processes that's in your head, you know, like, in a way. And I think for people, like, you know what I mean, that are traumatized, people that have like emotional issues and all this type of stuff, like, you know what I mean, or just general kind of fucking strains and stresses of life, never mind that other theory around, like, you know what I mean, the history of trauma in the country, that it's like it's just a break. It's just a break from the constant fucking what you call it, or like wheel that their thoughts are going around in our heads, you know. But so yeah, that's why I think a lot of it is. I definitely think that.
But the thing for me, man, I used to always find amazing, right? Is like for it must have been about, I think, almost 10 years. I used to a residency. Fridays and Saturday nights DJing, you know, and you'd finish up on a Saturday night at whatever, when the clubs closed, between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I don't know what it is now, but back then they were the times. And you get in your car after the gig, and you start driving home, and you go through my hometown. If I was DJing in that particular town, and you go through, and it was like literally, if you didn't know there was these people were drinking, you think they'd just become a zombie apocalypse, because like just people walking around, you know, like in a zombified state with chips in their hands, burgers that became navigation systems, you know what I mean, because they were just looking at them, following them home, you know what I mean, just people lying against, you know, windows, shop doors, and it's exactly what a lot of people just look vacant, you know what I mean, like they weren't there anymore, as you said, like a chemical break from the real world, you know what I mean. And it just for me, it was just I always found it fascinating. Coming back in the car and looking out the window and going, imagine if you took away the fact that you knew they were drinking. You think, Jesus, there's some sort of apocalypse or plague or something going on in the town. Like, you know what I mean? It's mad. Like, you don't see it as much here. You do see people drunk, but you don't see it as much here as I do back home. It's like, you almost wonder, is it that kind of small space of time that they have to get alcohol in, and they just get, I would have got as much as I could until closing time. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just
Mick, you said something there a few minutes ago about Irish people when they touch down on different soil and they act differently.
No, I mean, just in the like, say, you can have other people emigrating to the same place. I mean, you look at the history of the Irish when they immigrated to the States and things like that, you know what I mean? There was or England or any of these types of things, and you look at their relationship to alcohol in those countries when that happened, like, you know what I mean? Of course, all like cultures like had a level of like alcohol abuse, but Ireland did have at times like a more extreme one, you know, like in a way it did kind of stand out as
It's a funny one, because even when I moved to London, there would have been guys that moved over from my hometown over to London as well, and a lot of guys lasted 3 months, man, and ended up back home with their tail between the legs because of that, like, you know what I mean? Because of if you have any attraction to alcohol or stuff like that and drugs, and then you move to London, all that's in London is better alcohol, like cheaper alcohol, longer hours, and better drugs, you know what I mean? And I've seen it so many times where people go away thinking, new start and that, but, and end up having to go back home over what you just said, you know what I mean? Like, and I've seen that so many times, because even when I was away, like in Australia, and I'd meet into Irish people, now this isn't generalizing all Irish people. This is just, I remember a few experiences I had. They really played up to the fact that they like that Irish people are known for drinking.
Yeah.
That it's like that was his thing in our work environment. He was the drinker. And then he wanted me to be like that as well, only when he realised I wasn't drinking, he thought there was something wrong with me.
Well, it is, and we've talked about it before, but it is an identity. I did have that identity for many years, like, you know what I mean? It was like, that's what I was known as. I was known as a boozer, like, you know what I mean? I was up for it, like, you know what I mean? If there was a party to be had, I was there, and I was going to be front and centre, you know, like, in a way. And I was like, remember being in Australia and ended up drinking with this Marine, an American Marine. And I can remember him looking at me, and he was just looking at the way I was consuming alcohol. And he was like this mixture of like confusion and disgust. He was actually looking at it going like, because he could see it for what it was. He could see it as just absolutely abusing my body. But I was feeling this kind of feeling of like achievement and like, or I don't know, that in some way, even though he was looking at me this way, in some way I believed he was going to respect me for being able to consume that much alcohol. That in some way it was like, I often said it, like, you know what I mean? It's like, you can run 100 meters in under 10 seconds and I can drink 30 pints, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like you can physically do this thing, so it's like, oh my God, you have this achievement, like, you know what I mean? And so even with people's reactions like that, even as I travelled, I would have had that mentality. I'm not going to lie, I would have had that mentality that in some weird way they would still respect the fact that I was able to consume that much alcohol, you know?
Because it was the same, Danny, when I came over to you there a while ago, you know? My flight was at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And there was 3 fucking Irish women, women, I don't know, in their 30s, maybe early 40s, sitting beside me and my friend that were going. And oh my God, they wanted everyone to know they were on the plane, man, you know what I mean? Shouting, where's the Prosecco? You know, fucking 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, I always think of these wines like Prosecco, that it has some kind of an element of class or sophistication to it, you know what I mean?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Zero class, zero sophistication. The purpose of it is to have a nice wine, you know. I'd imagine wine is like about tasting it and enjoying the flavour and enjoying the experience of it. But now when Irish people seem to get a hold of it, like, it's like fucking...
Can you give us something that we can get it into us a bit easier? You know what I mean? It's like,
but that's what it is. That's what it is. mix it with 7-Up and it goes down quicker.
Yeah, and you can get gallons of this shit.
But it is true. It's fucking.
It is, of course,
I remember sitting there going, but these people wanted everyone to know how much they were able to drink, how much they loved drinking, how much they were going to get wasted. And the whole plane had to know this. It was just a very strange experience. Like, for me, seeing grown up people behaving like that, I would understand. I was on flights before to Ibiza from London, and people were carrying on like that, but they were like 19, 20, right? I get it, you know what I mean? But people in their late 30s, early 40s carrying on like this because, I don't know, man, but it was just a really, really, really fucked up situation. And that's why when you said to me, Mick, about people going abroad and stuff. But Danny, I would imagine in Tenerife, man, there would be mad drinking, no?
Okay, so, right. Couple of things, right? That fucking thing when you're growing up, yeah? Or even in Ireland, like, it's like, oh, I drink you under the table. Do you know what I mean? You'd say something like, I can drink you under the table. And that was, when I was younger, like, it was literally that. Who could drink the most, last the longest, and not fall down and get sick? That was, you know, it was like, and the harder you are, the more you can drink and you can take more onto you. You know what I mean? And that was the way growing up. To answer your question about Tenerife, yes, in the parts where you have, there's a part of Tenerife, and I don't want to name it, but there's a part of Tenerife.
On the strip is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the strip. It's mental. It's mental, man.
But that's like tourists. Like,
yeah, that's literally, I hate to say it, it's generally British and Irish, yeah? And it's just messy. And I don't know if when you were here, you walked down, it's like literally people trying to drag you in, they're offering you bowls of alcohol and straws and all sorts of stuff that, will give you this along with this. It's like the penally pen thing we were joking about in the last podcast. Not only will you get a shot of this, but you'll get a full bowl of this with 5 straws that will get you completely out of your brain. And they're selling madness down there. That's basically what they're selling.
But like, when did people start drinking buckets? Like when fucking you can buy buckets. Yeah. You can buy buckets of cocktails. You know what I mean? Or jugs. I was sitting down in a pub in my hometown here a while ago having food, like, you know what I mean? And they're selling 2 jugs of cocktail for €15, and there's like people sitting there with 2 jugs for themselves. Because it's 2 jugs for €15. Well, this is fucking jugs of alcohol, like
crazy. But in these bars, man, if you've been in the bars, you've got girls going around selling helium, selling fucking all sorts of stuff. Shots, shot girls.
Helium.
They have like
helium or laughing gas.
No, sorry, laughing gas. I don't, because I was never around when I was drinking. But like there was like helium or laughing. I don't know what the fuck it is.
It's laughing gas. Yeah.
Laughing gas and fucking all sorts of shit. And they're like literally they're selling that particular stretch in Tenerife. They're selling madness. You come in there and you can buy madness and complete obliteration.
I think what you were saying though, Danny, like that's not Tenerife culture. That's just our culture in Tenerife.
Exactly.
The way, and they're.
But that was my point about Irish people and British people, say, because I can only speak from that experience. Like we can, that's what we know, right? I'm not saying it's not like that anywhere else in the world, but when people touch down in these places, like that section of Tenerife, like San Antonio and Ibiza, like Magaluf in Mallorca or Santa Ponza, all these places that Irish and English have been going for years, just the second you land, it's pure fucking debauchery and carnage for the 10 days or the 2 weeks or the 7 days, whatever it is. Like, and it is something like that. It's like, oh, okay, we're going away. Let's fucking destroy ourselves. Because alcohol doesn't make it better.
No,
you might have a few good nights, but surely there's some fucking crap that's going to come along with it. Like, you know what I mean?
What always amazes me, right, is that I live on an island, and for me, this island, like, number one, has the highest mountain in Spain. It's beautiful, and it's absolutely stunning. It has different parts of it, like beautiful green parts. It's got the underwater world. It's just a paradise, right? And exactly what you said. I have met people here that have come here year after year after year, and I would say to them, "Have you been up the mountain?" No. No, I haven't been up the mountain. Have you seen the north of the island? No. What have you seen? Las Americas, Los Cristianos, and the pool there. You know what I mean? And that's it's like literally Veronica's. And it's like, bring me to the madness in the heat. That's basically what it's looking. And then you've got people that, and it's amazing. This island, you just don't like I find it rare to, like, if I'm out hiking in beautiful spots, I find it very rare to meet someone hiking the same thing from the UK or Ireland. Very rare, sadly. Generally Spanish, French, different nationalities, but it's rare enough to meet. Like, I normally get a shock when I meet someone from Ireland or the UK on a hike. You know what I mean?
They probably just got lost in a night out. I lost my friends.
I have to say, they're normally naked with paint all over them. Like lost, and you know what I mean? But like, it is. It's still to this day amazes me for such a, like, you guys have both been here and you've got to taste a bit of what the culture is about here and the food and stuff like that. And I brought you to a few places, and there's so much more to this island, and everyone, you know, it's literally, that's what happens. People here just come here to go to a warmer country and drink, like, and
I would have never went if it wasn't for you, because my concept of that was the Las Americas part and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? That was my thinking of the Reef, as the three girls were calling it. That's when you called it the Reef. I was like, don't ever say that again. You know what I mean? I've been listening to it for 4 fucking hours. We're going to the Reef. I'm like, oh Jesus! I just wanted to front kick one of them to the face, like, you know what I mean? If that was legal, you know, that would have been fucking.
Apparently, mid-air. Okay. But literally, yeah. I mean, that's it for me. Is like, I just always amazed, and you guys got to see it. And my mother, I remember when she was coming here, she was just like coming to see me, obviously, same thing. And she had just heard it's like not a nice place to come to. Usual reports, it's like Bundoran, you know, Bundoran's nice in a lot of places, so I take back exactly what I'm saying, but parts of Bundoran where all the amusements are, that part of Bundoran or Blackpool in the sun, you know what I mean? And when she got here and I got to show her the islands, you know, and outside of that other world, it was like, yeah, there's so much to see here. And for me, it's been a massive part of my not drinking is being able to experience these things, you know what I mean? The mountains. And I remember sitting, climbing to the very top of Teide, which is like the highest mountain in Spain. And being up there, we stayed in a hostel just short of the peak. And it's very low O2 up there, so it's quite hard to hike the last hike. So you sleep and you wake up at 4 a.m. And to be sitting at the top of the mountain for the sunrise, and you literally can see all the other islands from the top of it, like, and just watching the sun come up, man. You know, there's experiences that are like that, you know, I'd find to put into words, you know what I mean, to describe that feeling and the beauty of it, like, do you know what I mean? And it's just, it's like, and such, you know, a contrast to being up on top of there watching the sun come up, to being in Veronica's and, oh, get your whatever, your 12 shots for whatever price or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And like some fella, yeah, six literally falling out and 6
buckets of peach schnapps for €20.
It looks the same when it comes back up, but yeah, so that's you know, for me, it's
in the Tenerife thing, man. Like, I remember being over there and my son, we were sitting in a cafe, and this guy was like, I don't know, maybe it was morning time. It could have been like 11 or 12 or something like that, you know. And this guy came in, he got a beer, just in a pair of flip flops, and got a beer, went over, and my son was kind of looking at me, says, Jesus, it's early, you know. And I said, yeah, I said, you know, the difference is that's probably the only beer he's going to have today. You know what I mean? It's like, you could see by him, like, you know what I mean, that it was just, I was just getting a beer, you know what I mean? And there was no big deal. It wasn't like, right, we're getting ready to cane it, you know what I mean? Which is like, you know, I'd laugh when they say, like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, for whatever reasons, I mean, that was my little thing around, I do believe we're a traumatized nation, you know what I mean? And that's that has a link to why we abuse stuff so much, you know what I mean? But When I seen that guy going and getting that beer, everything in his demeanor was like, I'm okay with myself. Like, you mean, I'm okay, like, you mean, I'm content. You know, this is just a little thing I'm going to have. You know what I mean? I'm going to drink me little beer. I'm going to have me chat to me mates, and I'm going to stroll off into the sunset with me flip-flops on. You know what I mean? It was like, it's just a different picture to the one we've grown up in, you know? It's a stark difference.
It's that mythology of just caning yourself until you drop, like, and like that's a big thing. I mean, for me is about like about this place is you know, myself and Colin are, you know, we're talking about a process at the moment of, you know, in the future bringing people here to be able to basically see, you know, there's more to a place like this than that caning it until you drop, you know what I mean? And the importance of you know, seeing past that and not thinking that that's the lifestyle. And I agree with you as well, Mick. What you're saying is, like, there is people that can just come here and just, they go in the morning, have a beer or whatever, and that's it. That's it for the day, and they go and chill by the. But literally, that's the difference is definitely our culture comes across here, and like the beer doesn't stop there. You know what I mean? It's like a train of beers, you know, and yeah. So I just wanted to ask you something, Mick. I'm interested because you were talking about the meditation, and how did you, during the meditation process, how did you how are you finding, because is this your kind of first time to be well, you've obviously done it before, but to be doing like in a while the silent meditation?
Yeah, no, I've always done guided meditation, so I just used the techniques that were in the guided meditation, like focusing on my breath, letting the thoughts, just try to let them come like clouds, just to let them pass, you know what I mean? Even if they're coming, let them come and go on, just don't latch onto them and feed into them, and if you do, you just bring it back to the breath. I'm just doing stuff like that, you know, but I found it very, very good. Like, and it actually, it's one of these things, the thing with likes of meditation or the morning pages, like we've talked about, or any of that, it's like the results are, or the effects are so subtle in a way, you know what I mean? But the effect it has on my day-to-day life is really marked, you know what I mean? It's really, I really see the difference, like, you know what I mean? I seen the difference in my demeanour in work. I could see the difference in, you know, I was struggling, like I got a staph infection, you know what I mean, from grappling, like it's a skin infection, you know what I mean, and you know, it can be a serious thing, you have to go on to antibiotics and stuff like that for it, you know what I mean, and before I got diagnosed with it, it was going on for about a week, and I was struggling with it, you know what I mean? I was trying to treat it, and I like, obviously I didn't know what it was properly. I misdiagnosed it myself and with a pharmacist, and so I was using the wrong stuff on it, you know, and it really brought my mood down, you know what I mean, because it wasn't getting any better, it was affecting me, and the meditation really, really helped me with it, you know. It really helped me not go down into a darker place with it, you know, kind of keep things in perspective, and I was able to keep kind of more positive with it. I definitely could see the advantages to it, you know. I've always known the advantages. Any time I'd done it, I'd seen them. I was struggling with keeping it up, and it's hilarious. You know, Paulo Coelho, I remember reading a thing that he said, he's this writer, we talked about his book, The Alchemist, but he wrote this thing, he was saying that even if you end up doing stuff like for your benefit, your spiritual benefit, like meditation or whatever it may be, and it's for, say, like, you know what I mean, not the most spiritual reasons, like, you know what I mean, my ego, right, when with this app, like, I have to get the consecutive things, and you said the same thing, like, you know what I mean, that I was one stage, it was like 10 to 12 at night, and I was like, shit, I haven't fucking meditated, I'm gonna miss me day, and I was like, you know what I mean, it was just like, get out the app, clink, you know what I mean, I was like, you know, sitting there, yeah, so that wasn't a great meditation, I reckon, you know what I mean,
sitting there drinking a cup of coffee and just meditating.
yeah, and I was like, but, you know what I mean, but at the end of the day, because of my ego and my pride, I have continued to meditate now for the week, you know what I mean, which has been great, you know. So that app, you know, Danny put me onto, if you can do it, it's fantastic, because definitely 4 of the days out of the week I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't for the app, because the consecutive days now, you know what I mean, it's just been, no shit, I have to get this in, you know what I mean. It's amazing the things that, you know, the way the mental tricks that you can play on yourself to kind of help yourself do this stuff. But again, all leading back to the same things. If I knew by putting it out to you, anything that I've had your support with or engagement with, you know, whether it be the running or the hell and back or this meditation or whatever it may be, it's just I have been able to do it to another level, like, you know what I mean, just with the encouragement of that, you know, that I don't know, there's a slight level of accountability, but not in that type of way. It's more like in just a positive kind of empowering of having friends that are involved in what you're doing, you know.
Yeah, it's the power of the group thing again, isn't it? It comes back to that. The we together, I'm not just talking about us, but we is way more stronger than I.
Yeah.
You know, in general, in everything. And I've always found out over the years, like even to give up smoking, it was just this conversation of between the three of us that literally just put a switch on in my head. Like, it just literally, boom, switch clicked in my head. It's like, oh, fuck, okay, I'm not going to do that ever again. You know what I mean? And it is, that wouldn't have happened on my own. At that moment, anyway. You know?
Absolutely.
And it was the same when we gave up smoking before, like all those years ago. Like, it was the same thing. It was the few of us like that were playing around with the idea, and then, you know, it's the power of that kind of positive mindset and strength, you know.
And the way it can click on, like, you mean, to other people, like at that time, even back when we gave up the cigarettes, like, you know, mean, it clicked on to other people, like people like heard that we were out, they were like, you know, and it happened for them. And even now, when I started the running, my partner, like, I mean, my partner lost her brother last year, and it was like, you know, and she's kind of struggled, you know what I mean? Obviously, you know what I mean? It was a big thing. And, you know, she'd wanted to get back into exercise and all this type of thing. She'd just been struggling to do it, you know. And then I started the running, and she was like, straight away, she was like, I'll come with you. And she came out, and the two of us would go out, and we'd go for the run. And just that act, like, you know what I mean, of her doing that, you know what I mean, it's kicked on into other areas now, like, you know what I mean, into her work life and everything, just positive stuff, just snowball from it, like, you know what I mean, from that change, like, you know what I mean. And it's amazing, like, you know what I mean, that like in all these different areas of our lives, that
intermittent fasting is the same. Think about how many people have the amount of people I know that are fasting at the minute, because of the between from when I start talking to you about it, and you used to say to me, oh, you need to try this, and I'd heard it on the Rogan podcast, all that, and the amount of people that I know that are doing it since, and has because of the conversations I would have, not because I'm telling them, oh, you have to do this, but just saying, oh, this is what it is, and this is fucking ever. Yeah, this what I do is very simple. And sometimes you would say to people if they're struggling, like with losing weight, it's like, oh, this is a simple way of doing it, you know. And the amount of people that do it now because of that, and it's made their lives better, whether that's the self-confidence because the weight is gone or whatever, you know. So it is a kind of, so when you're not like, you know, that could easily be encouraging people to come out and do lines of cocaine, you know, that kind of way.
Well, absolutely, and we've all done it, like, I mean, absolutely, we've all done it, like, I mean, we've all encouraged, like, I knew a guy, he told me, like, after, like, many years after, like, I would have stopped, but I met him, and he says, do you know what, I had your number in my phone as do not answer. He says, because, if I was in such a state, like, you know what I mean, because generally, like, if I rang him and we ended up meeting up, he might be drunk, he might be leaving the pub, he might be on his way home, he'd meet me, and then a couple of days later he'd get in, like, and his girlfriend's after breaking up with him or whatever, you know what I mean, so he'd just look at the phone and be like, do not answer, because in case, you know what I mean. So you know, you could definitely be leading people astray in the wrong ways, you know, like, in a way. And it's,
but that's the way it is. Like, think about it. I used to want the people to see me on drugs and drinking, because that's the way I thought I was a better person in that way, you know, that kind of way. So you would be trying to get people to go. So it could easily be that way. So it's nice that we kind of have this environment, create this environment where we're encouraging positivity and forward thinking and progressiveness, like, and health, rather than, you know, lines of cocaine.
No, absolutely, and I do, and I absolutely feel like I'm on an upswing with all this stuff, like, you know what I mean, that you know, life seems to be like that. It's like a pendulum, you know what I mean. It can often swing. Sometimes it swings further than the others, like, you know what I mean, maybe back might go back a bit and kind of forward. But I feel at the minute, I feel like on an upswing. I feel very positive and motivated around different areas and stuff like that. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of it actually has been being involved in this podcast and the way we have kind of linked in together in a more kind of constructive way. You know what I mean? That it's after encouraged me to do loads of different things. I just love it. You know, like in a way, it's been really fun, really fun.
I think that we're coming up to the hour there, lads. You want to wrap it up, Dan? No?
Yeah. I mean, we can indeed. We're at 41 minutes. Do you want to wrap it up at that?
Yeah, you go on. If you wrap it up with a belt of inspiration and love.
All right. Okay, I don't know what to fucking say. Right, okay, here's my belt of inspiration. We're talking about stuff and I decided to try something new. Yeah, I tried this metabolic reset. He slagged it off a bit because I mentioned women's hormones, which it has got a little to do with that. And
you mentioned fetus, man.
Yeah, that was it.
Not a woman's hormone, man. A fucking fetus.
Yeah, okay. So basically, I've been doing this for the last. I tell you now because I have it all recorded. It's day 17 of it and of the diet phase, which I've dropped 8.3 kilo.
How much body fat have you dropped though? That's what I want to know.
Fat I have dropped, I can tell you right now. I can't tell you right now because my phone's turned off, but I'll turn it on. But I haven't lost very little muscle. I've been measuring my body, so I've been measuring my legs, my arms, my chest, my waist, and my belly. And my belly, my waist have all gone down. I've been losing fat in an area which I've never lost fat first before, in my stomach and in my abdominal area. My waist has gone down. My chest has gone down a little. My arms have stayed the same size. My legs have stayed the same size. I've not lifted a weight in the last 19 days. It's an interesting one. I've never seen it happen to me before. Normally when I train hard and I lose weight, it comes everywhere, you know what I mean? And at the belly and waist area is actually the last place for it to go. So that's where I'm at. At the start, the first 5 days, I literally felt some awful fucking hunger shit. You know what I mean? It was like an awful place. But in the last while, my body's adjusted. I don't feel full of energy. I feel lower than I normally would. But I'm managing to get everything I would normally done. Aside, I've taken the days out from lifting weights, and my energy's come back an awful lot. I feel like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like my body feels lighter, like all around, like I feel inside like it's lighter. The whole concept of it is that I lose more of the visceral fat than the structural fat. And I really felt that, like, just feeling lighter in myself, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to get the figures for you here, Colin. Just one sec.
Just a suggestion to you, Danny, is if you're feeling it with the energy, that it can be electrolytes can be affected when you take into that type of diet with a high nutrient from the vegetables and all that type of thing. But your electrolytes can be lowered. So things like avocados, you look it up online, you'll get different things. But like avocados. And
anything with fats you can't touch, so it's avoiding fats. And there's certain foods, there's a list of veg and fruits that you can eat, but they say to try and avoid veg if you can. You'd have to read up on it. It's a lot. I don't want to go through the whole spiel, but the concept is because of the HCG, your metabolism never goes down, whereas with a traditional diet, when you cut down the amount of intake of calories, your metabolism goes down with it. But this holds the same. So when you go back to normal eating, your metabolism hasn't dropped. You don't put the weight back on. Anyways, to answer your question, Colin, the fat has gone down from 30.5 to 28.1.
Okay.
And the BMI has gone down from, as we said at the start, 30.9 to 28.7. My muscle percentage has obviously gone up from 59.6 to 64.2, and in my waist, in my belly area, I went from 114 centimeters around to 107 centimeters.
So I'd imagine you need to get the body fat down another 10% in order to be kind of a help, because that's a dodgy
still quite
one.
high, yeah. But
Yeah.
my plan is to keep you can go longer with it, but to be honest with you, with the stuff that's going on in my life, I just haven't got the time to do another 10 days or 9 days. So I'm going to hit the boxing. I'm going to get back to the boxing next week at some stage. And when I do the boxing, weight just falls off me, you know what I mean? So yeah. So look, I to be honest with you, I feel good about what I've done. It's made a massive difference in the way my body's been. I've lost a lot of fat. It's been a couple of hard days, but in general now I feel good. It feels normal. I feel healthy. It's been an interesting process. Like, and the real test to it all is if it stays off. You know what I mean? Because most diets like that, they yo-yo, you go back up again. But the concept of this is you don't. And then after the 21 days, I do a 21 days stabilization where I introduce fruits and certain clean fats like olive oil, avocado, for example. And then I can start introducing different foods bit by bit to see how my body reacts to them. Like, but yeah, in general, I feel a lot better for it. Like, I feel like my body's had a good cleanse. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So I like to try new things. It's been an interesting process. Sahar's been doing the fasting that you guys. I did a bit of it as well. I lost a bit of weight with the fasting, and she's lost weight with the fasting as well. Like, so interesting.
From where? she's so tiny.
She lost weight, man.
When I was sitting here thinking, when you say Sahar lost weight, I was like, can you still see her? You know, she's such a petite little thing, like, isn't she though? You know, that's all I'm thinking. But no, my mama is doing it. So I could tell you 5 people off the top of my head now that are doing it, that have seen massive benefits and results, swelling going down, because that's what we are. We're fucking swollen, you know what I mean? In general. So, but that's it. And yeah, sure. Listen, it's been a pleasure. Oh, sir. Yeah.
What I say, bro.
It's been a pleasure, lads. Mick, is there something you want to say to people if they feel like they have issues
Yeah, just if anything comes up for you while you're discussing this, or you feel you may have an issue with drink, drugs, gambling, sex, whatever it may be, there's lots of help out there, you know what I mean? And you should try and avail of it. A lot of the time you could just go to some of the drug services in your local area. You'll find them online. Maybe talk to your GP, or visit a 12-step recovery group. All these things can be of great benefit. But don't try to do this alone if you feel you're having an issue. And yeah.
And just hit us up on Instagram. Give us a follow. At That Good Craic podcast, or if you listen to us on whichever podcast hosting service you're on, please give us a rating and make sure you subscribe to help other people find us.
And you can get us on our email, which is 3drylads@gmail.com. That's 3drylads with the number 3.
Or at Twitter, you can get us at that_crack.
I still can't believe that one is literally up there with Danny's The Clean Crack. You know what I mean? That crack. Look at that.
Jesus.
Crack on your what? Oh, Jesus.
Oh my God. On that note, lads, happy
but that's
Christmas.
what it sounds like. Happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, and happy Easter and the whole lot, sure.
Happy harmonica.
Peace.
Peace
See
out.
you later, boys. See you, man. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to That's Good Craic on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever you're listening to it right now.